Moving on now, Mark Twain hit the nail on the head when he said, buy land, they're not making it anymore. According to the findings of the University of Nebraska Lincoln's 2022 Farm Real Estate Market Survey, the value of agricultural land in the Cornhusker state increased by an average of 16% over the prior year. We recently sat down with agricultural systems economist and extension educator Jim Jansen to walk through the latest report. Well, the big headline this year is that we've got a 16% increase over the prior year to a new statewide average of $3,360. Talk about some of the factors that are driving land prices higher across the entire state of Nebraska.
Yeah, so based off our survey work, we survey people that work in the Nebraska land industry. What they reported, there were basically 3 or 4 factors leading to the current real estate market values that we have reported. One of the biggest drivers being current commodity prices, corn, soybeans, wheat, whatever the crop or small grain might be across the state. Second major factor was low interest rates. Obviously, inflation is a concern right now, and there may be moves by the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates. But right now, or over the last year or so, there's been very competitive interest rates you could get on land purchases, residential, machinery, whatever the case might be. Also, another thing is called the 1031 exchange, and there's been a renewed interest or push to see that used in land sales and purchases. 1031 exchange, what that is when someone sells a parcel of ground, say in a neighboring state, if you inherited something, you can turn around and take that capital, take that money, and repurchase another parcel of ground. Maybe it's closer to you, maybe it's in your home state, whatever the case might be. So those were some of the biggest factors that we're kind of seeing across the state of Nebraska related to current market value of land and some of the things. And also on the topic of interest rates, we've seen people are purchasing assets right now because of the fear of inflation. We haven't seen substantial inflation in recent history, but there's been a push to buy tangible things. If you don't buy machinery, equipment, land, whatever the case might be, there's a fear that next year, if you can even get it, it's going to cost more. So people are looking at land as a store of wealth. If you're concerned about inflation, some people take a look at buying assets or buying a business. And land is a business. It definitely has income and it does have expenses.
This was the biggest increase we've seen in land values here in Nebraska since 2014. When you put this study together, you break things down geographically, so you're able to show the trends across the state. Talk about how they vary east to west.
Yeah, so we divide the state into 8 agricultural statistic districts. Some people in the past may have heard of things called crop reporting districts. So there's 8 different regions across the state. Each region has similar production attributes, things like expectation for rainfall, yield, soil type, maybe to a degree, the amount of slope on the parcels of ground. With that, what we've seen, we track, I believe it's 7 or 8 different types of land. We've seen a lot of strength percentage-wise, percent increases. We've seen a lot of strength in the eastern part of the state, as well as other areas of the state that have a high presence of cropland. Without a doubt, the prices being much higher right now for corn, soybeans, wheat, whatever you might be growing in your area, the degree of profitability, what people are seeing, it's much different than it was 2 years ago. Now, to couple with that, we're dealing with higher input expenses, and we're having to sort that out. And if you're on the livestock side of the deal, prices have been better. There's been some changes in the prices, but without a doubt, drought is going to be a big concern. So we're seeing a lot of different factors into that, but overall across the state we're seeing pretty strong percentage changes. You got to keep in mind when you look at the percent increase on something, what is the difference related to the percent increase for, say, western Nebraska dryland cropland versus northeast Nebraska irrigated cropland? There's can be some big differences there in some of the things that we have seen reported.
Big differences, but again, the headline story is that everything is up this year as we look at that survey. Were there any particular surprises for you as you put this report together when it comes to the value of land?
You know, the last time we seen land peak like this was back in 2014. There are some very strong similarities between what happened, say, between late 2011 to 2014 versus maybe late 2021 to where we are currently. Drought, anytime we have drought in a big area, maybe across the Corn Belt this year, whatever, we'd see a strong run up in commodity prices. Interest rates back in 2011-12 were on the downhill slope at that time because of the housing crisis of 2008, 9, and 10. And I was very surprised to see there's some very strong similarities being reported between that period of time, roughly a decade ago, versus where we're currently at right now.